Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tulianos and brought to you by his book, The Huge Bible of Bodybuilding 2. Look at that thing, over 700 pages, everything you need to know about training, nutrition, supplementation, and PED use. You can get that on Amazon.com, and you might as well get this while you're there, Real Bodybuilding by Ron Harris. And now, all the way from Athens, Greece, the good doctor, George Tulianos. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hello, Ron. Welcome back from Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you.
What are your impressions about the Arnold, the expo? Also, let us know if it was the old good times, crowded always like last year was kind of, not more than 0.5%. But anyway, what are your impressions about the lineup? And do you believe that it was fair?
Yeah, well, first I'll address the expo. It was packed on Saturday. Like
Okay.
you couldn't move. Everybody was this close together. So if there was any viruses to be found, you were going to get them right there. Everybody was just packed in like sardines Saturday. Very busy.
You could
Um,
see big names in the booths.
yeah. You just had to know when they were there. But I got lucky because we were running around trying to do interviews, and
As
I caught
companies, yeah, as companies.
I caught Derek Lunsford at Evogen, Logan Franklin at GAT.
Was it
You know, I never,
Gaspar, Labrada, Muscle Tech?
Muscle Tech had a big booth. I didn't see Gaspari. I didn't see Redcon. Yeah, some of the big companies were not represented with booths for sure. But talk about the show. I thought the judging was very fair. The top three were two similar physiques with Samson and Andrew Jacked. You know, both tall, wide,
Andrew,
small
Andrew
legs.
switched from George Farad to Chris Aceto, but I think he was really more defined than the Olympia was more flat though. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I like this look better actually because condition is very important to me. And he did have better condition from the back. You know, it's not a glute contest or
I
else,
think Samson had the most pleasant, aesthetic, beautiful, symmetrical physique, but he was not the freak like Rami or Walker. But speaking of Rami, I think he was very much improved. His rear double biceps, the way the latissimus were
yeah.
defined in the Christmas tree also. And I wonder how much was this difference from 2020, 2021, the Olympia. And today somebody wrote to Chad Nichols. He paid the consequence of not showing up at the guest posing for the birthday of Jim Mannion. I think it's about politics as well, because I don't see any flaws in Ramis now. Why fourth?
Yeah,
Why not second, for instance? Why not first? I
I
mean, the
mean,
old unbeatable Rami is now dethroned and he's a crappy bodybuilder. It
well, if
sounds
you
weird because he took two Olympia, and we could say that in the last Olympia he had flaws, but not now.
he was definitely much better than the Olympia. I think he was close to the second time that he won the Olympia, 2021.
Yeah.
Nick Walker, I don't know.
Was he better Walker than December?
It was a different Nick Walker. He was a little smaller to me, just a little bit more. He went for condition, and I think his
Yeah.
legs came down a little bit, but he did have more detail, uh, just deeper cuts, and I think they wanted to push the condition, and it almost paid off. He almost won. I mean, but again, there's your argument. If he can take second with that type of body, why wasn't Rami second?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
was well, how is he better than Rami? I that's a good question. Better shape. I mean, Rami still has kind of a blocky look to the
He
midsection.
always was like this.
I
And
know, I
they
know.
said that, speaking of Rami, it's all about conditioning. He has the whole mass of the world. But okay, Samson is bodybuilding, as Milo said, a very nice sculpt statue. All right.
Yeah.
And I think Arnold gives this line. I mean, they have to have the V taper and the small midsections like Brandon Carey last year with Bonek. So I think Arnold blames, and you have a problem when you don't have an aesthetic V taper and a small midsection and you have a bubble gut.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Nick Walker has a bubble gut, but he doesn't have you
No,
know,
not anymore. No.
or Rami, but they both have thicker midsection, thicker waists. It's just genetics. Samson and Andrew
Not
have those
just
tiny
genetics.
little.
It's also very reasonable to have so much mass,
Mm.
and also the obliques and the erector spinae thicken so that your waist circumference becomes larger. It's inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, Samson's 295 pounds. Actually, he said he was 297 on stage. I
How
talked to him
tall is he?
yesterday.
How tall is he?
He's about 6'1", I want to say. Six
Really big.
one. Yeah. And I think Andrew's a little taller. I think Andrew's closer to 6'2" and also around 290. But yeah, it was obviously the top four. You had two similar
Samson was
physiques.
better than the Olympia. He was sixth there.
Yeah,
He was
for
good,
sure.
huh?
Yeah, I mean, he beat everybody. He beat everybody that beat him at the Olympia, except for Brandon Curry wasn't in it, Hadi Chupin, and Derek Lunsford. So he got past Rami and he got past Nick Walker at this show. So he's a favorite for the Olympia now, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy. Such
Well,
a nice
definitely the
guy.
Olympia is much tougher, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, because Hadi Chupin, Derek
Hardy and
Lunsford,
Derek Lansford, yeah.
they're going to be tough. And
I saw Derek in your interview, and he's bulking now, right?
yeah, he's big. He's big. He's got to be at least over 250 again, maybe
He was
closer to
230.
yeah, he's probably 260 again, like he was at the guest posing last year. He's all big, at least 250. And, he's 5'5", I want to say. Yeah, not a tall guy. But yeah, great show. I mean, I was very happy. You know what else is the show ran a lot faster because they used to have strongman finals. You remember, I think the last time you were there, they were still doing the strongman finals, even last year.
2020.
Yeah, so they don't have that with the Saturday night finals anymore, and they cut another couple divisions. So the show ran a lot faster. We were out of there. We were out of there before 10.
It was also last year, yeah, 2022 as well, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry you couldn't make it. It was a good show. It's always a good show. It's the Arnold
It was
Classic.
just you and Rick, huh? And Hector.
Yeah, yeah. And Jose Raymond helping me out with the commentary. He does a great job.
Yeah.
So, all right, Doctor, we've compiled some questions while we were gone covering the Arnold. This is a good one to start with because we spoke last time about it. It's funny. Remember last week we had the question from the 21-year-old wanted to know if he was ready to start a cycle.
Mhm.
Yeah, I met him at the show. He came up to me. He was at the meet. Josefa. I met him at the meet and greet, and then I met him at the expo a couple more times. Cool kid. He's going to stay natural for a while. He's not going to go on any cycles, but good kid. He goes, "Hey, you used my question. You even used it in the title of the video." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, good question." So this is similar because we spoke about that, how you want a certain amount of experience before you're starting gear. So the first question we have this week is, Dr. T, I have been training since August 2017, so 5.5 years now. I eat 5 meals per day. I train 5 times per week. Do you think I should hold off on this first cycle, or if I feel ready to just go for it?
How old is the man?
Yeah, we don't know.
This is critical because if he's 17, then all right. But if he is 30, then it's a little bit delayed for maturity. Anyway, also, is he lean? I mean, you got to be 10% to have good gains. If you are flabby and you want more gains, then you're going to become even fatter, you know?
It's true. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of that. There's at the expo, I saw a lot of people who were carrying way too much body fat. Some people were staying nice and lean, but I see guys around my age, and I'm thinking you're gonna have a heart attack because their gut was out to here, their faces were completely red, like kind of like a power lifter look. It just didn't look healthy, and I'm trying to be a little more cognizant of my own health these days. But yeah, good answer because it does. Your age is going to play a factor. So if you're
And your
17,
conditioning now, I mean, if you are lean, yeah, go for it perhaps, but slow, steady steps. If you're fat, you're out of shape, and it won't show much of a result.
true, true. It'll just get more bloated. Next one. Hey, doc, I'm on TRT, 125 milligrams per week. Since going on TRD, my WBC neutrophils have gone below the reference range. My doctor told me to come off TRT for 3 months, and my WBC neutrophils went back into range again. So I went back on TRT, and now they're back below the reference range. Why is testosterone causing my WBC to drop? I don't even know what a WB. What is this WB?
WBC means the white blood cells.
Oh, white blood cell. There you go.
That is an inflammatory marker, very general, and the neutrophils are the polymer. Their type of white blood cells, multinucleated, means the nucleus has a characteristic structure. But anyway, my only thought about this is that the testosterone is anti-inflammatory hormone, so it's suppressing away the inflammation. And it does, as Ron McLean said, and also I agreed that it burns the visceral fat, and visceral fat is a marker of inflammation that releases inflammatory cytokines. So my only guess is this. Now, there could be overtraining by training with gear and, of course, testosterone that also suppresses white blood cells. So training is an inflammatory stimulus that kicks a little bit the white blood cells. If it's too much, it will crush them, also messes up with the cortisol. So if this guy's busting himself a lot, then I guess the overtraining lowers the white blood cells. Otherwise, generally speaking, under normal circumstances, perhaps there is a reducing the inflammation by a drop in the white blood cells. Now, speaking of neutrophils, they are always associated with bacterial inflammation. That means with microbes and not viral inflammation. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the education. I didn't even know that any of this had an effect on white blood cells, the training and the testosterone and all that stuff. Next question is, I recently had a PRP shot in my shoulder. What's PRP stand for?
Is it platelet-rich plasma? Yeah.
Plasma, yeah. That's where they spin your own blood around in a centrifuge.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So I recently had a PRP shot in my shoulder. The doctor said I should not work out for 6 weeks. I went to Electrical Muscle Stimulation Studio for a workout without weights. So that's where they put the electrodes on and just zap you.
Yeah.
My muscles were sore for a week. While I know it caused contractions that were painful, will this actually build muscle?
Yeah, I remember I tried this in Columbus at my very first Arnold Expo, and I was bending over here, and they put it on my trapezius. The electrical stimulus is horrible, and electrical current, like the teaser,
Yeah.
And I remember also Phil Heath during his reigning Olympiad titles. He was watching TV and he's putting this in his calves. So it should be a stimulus and work, but I don't know if it's equal to the resistance stimulus,
Haven't they use that for people that can't move just to keep the muscle contracting?
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I don't believe it causes the muscle inflammation by tearing the fibers, that then after recuperation you have the growth.
Yeah. Do you remember the Mentor brothers, Mike and Ray?
Yes.
So I remember they used to try anything to try to get bigger and stronger. And I remember hearing that they would take those. I think they had some industrial strength electrodes, and they would zap each other with like taser kind of electricity amps or voltage. I don't know. They were like knocking each other out with the electricity, trying to get bigger. I don't think that worked either. You got to lift weights, guys. I think it's better than nothing. If you're like maybe somebody in a coma that literally can't move, I wonder if they did that, it would keep some of their
when you
muscle
watch a
tone.
film, when you're home, why don't try this to your calves?
We have one we've had for years, but it's very weak. The current is nothing. I don't think it would do much. It's like battery powered. It's not even that strong. But when I used to go to chiropractic, I still go to chiropractors, but I used to have that when they would leave the room, they'd leave the machine next to me and I would turn the knobs up so it was stronger. And I remember I'd be like jumping. I couldn't even, the contractions were so strong, I couldn't stay still on the table.
Yeah, it's painful, man.
Yeah, but I was a sucker for punishment. Grapefruit seed oil. Does grapefruit seed extract work for high hemoglobin and hematocrit levels? And what would be the dosage? And how much of a lowering can be expected?
I've heard that eating grapefruits has this compound called narginin, something like that, that it could lower. So you can try this yourself. But I think you should go for deeper stuff, meaning you can try the ARB, the telmisartan that will suppress your EPO. And the side effect of this antidepressive medication that I'm also taking, besides the drop in the systolic blood pressure, also a lower and a postpone perhaps to a sooner phlebotomy.
Okay.
Right, because there are several cited and very solid references from PubMed that has this benefit. Now, of course, you can try the grapeseed, but always when you compare a medication versus a supplement, it's like comparing a Tommy gun with a knife.
Yeah, it was funny. Somebody that I was doing some coaching with. He had a blood work done, and his doctor said was so alarmed at his hematocrit levels and how thick his blood was, and I don't know what the levels were, but he said he's worried. He was worried he was going to have a stroke, so he said, "Stop your TRT right away." And so this guy's going to go off TRT.
Hopefully, Dr. Abraham Mogetaler, this weekend he had the Congress of the Urology.
Oh,
And the conclusion that I also posted and tagged Thomas O'Connor and many other people is that the erythrocytosis induced by testosterone, which is a secondary, is less frightening and risky rather than the primary erythrocytosis of people like polycythemia vera, for instance. Okay, so we need more evidence and trials in order to see if it's that threatening. And I remember the late John Chrysler said that as long as your platelets are down, there is way less risk of thrombosis and occlusion just because of the elevated hemoglobin. Yeah. And of course, we know that androgens treat anemia, but with microdosing, with hydration, with aspirin, with pentoxifylline that improves the blood flow, and with telmisartan, we can make things more bearable. And never postpone your phlebotomy, because we men have already higher hemoglobin than women because of the androgens. So we have to do this relief. Women have this relief every menstrual cycle, and they lose 100 milligrams of blood. You know, they're a fortune for this.
I came home my wife got her period while I was gone, I guess. I think she got it yesterday. I could tell because I could see the tampon wrappers and stuff like that. Too much
when a woman
information.
has a period, officially, she can become pregnant, she's fertile.
She's 52 years old. She still gets her
Really, that
period.
delayed, it means that perhaps it started in high school, perhaps, and not in elementary school.
She was 8 years old or 9 years old when she started getting, yeah.
Wow. It's a long period,
Like, is this ever going to stop? I don't know. She's going to be like 60, still getting her damn period. She's menopausal. She's definitely been going through menopause for like about 3 years now, but then this period won't stop. It's unbelievable. Anyway, yeah. Next questions. This is a interesting question for sure. Sometimes we get some crazy questions. Hello, doc. I'm 26 years old and have normal torso size, but small and short hands and feet, small joints, etc. I'm 1.79 meters height, and my shoe size is 41. These are European measurements. Is that that's a small shoe, right?
41 is not, yeah, kind of small.
Okay. Yeah. For 1.79 height, how many meters are you?
175 is 5'8",
179
5'8" and a half. Let's say 5'9", the most.
Okay. So he says, my wrist is literally like a girl's. Never saw another man with wrists like mine. I also have less than normal muscle gains from lifting. I will take a blood test of GH and IGF-1. If they're low, would HGH therapy have any benefits for me at this age, 26? If they're normal, could it be because I had deficiency only at a younger age? And would I have any benefits from HGH in this case too?
Not anymore, because the epiphyseal plates are closed, and the only thing you can do is acromegaly. But what you can do is trying to do wrist curls and strengthen your wrists, your forearms, yes, both flexing and extending. And by taking G8s, there is a little bit of swelling in your wrists because it leads to fluid retention, but this is temporary, of course. I remember when I was using 5 FUs of genotropin, then I could barely wear my hand watch. Yeah, it was very stiff. But this is temporary because of the water retention. So I think the only thing you can do is forget about the wrist strap, the straps, and strengthen your grip, okay? Yeah. And that's all you can do. You cannot change your skeletal structure at now, 26 at least.
I mean, you've heard that some people, when they abuse growth hormone for a while, they get bigger feet. Like, Dave Palumbo says that's not why his feet got big, but he's 5'9" and his feet are, like the size of a guy who's 6'8", 6'10". So can it make your feet grow? Growth hormone?
Yes, allegedly yes, because I think now I was wearing 9, now I'm wearing 9.5. Okay.
That's a little. I mean, that's for your feet to grow as an adult. That's pretty crazy. I know women, when they get pregnant, a lot of times their feet get wider. I think something happens to them.
Well, because of the retention, you know.
Yeah. Okay. If you crashed your estrogen to a very low level, how can we raise it up? I heard people suggesting Dianabol, but I don't want to harm my liver.
This is crazy. Come on. No, I think with HEG you can do this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that'll bring it back. HCG therapy. Next one. I am a 45-year-old premenopausal woman and want to take DHEA for libido and dryness. Vaginal dryness, I'm assuming she means. I'm fit and exercise regularly, but do not lift or take any PEDs. First, is DHEA for libido the same as the over-the-counter supplement, or is this only by prescription in the US? Second, what is the recommended dosage and what are potential side effects? Third, is DHEA contraindicated if you also take birth control pills? Many thanks, and I think more women should watch your show as well as the men. Definitely, everybody should watch this show. Men, women, children, dogs, cats.
I think it's over the counter. It's not as a doping in the States. It can be sold as a supplement, an anti-aging supplement, DHA, you know. Also in Europe, but now you can find it, DHA, in Greek supplement, not supplement, pharmacy stores. Yes,
Oh, wow.
as a supplement, of course.
Oh.
But of course, it's doping. You know, it's not doping free. Of course, metabolites to many hormones. But I don't think it's seriously ergogenic. It can increase the sex drive in women because women are have the dominance of estrogen. So the metabolites of testosterone, the androgenic metabolites, dominate in women, and women can realize the androgenic effect way more than men that have the dominance of testosterone. Okay, so improves the sex drive, and it's safer than using testosterone for women. I think for dryness, vaginal dryness, the perfect thing is to take estrogens, of course, in the form of cream or vaginal, how you call it, when they, like the rectal.
I mean, like a lubrication, lube? No,
Not exactly. It's like a peel, but you put it into the rectum or the vagina, and it releases substance.
like a suppository?
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So, and I think because I take DHEA, my wife does, so I think it's 250 milligrams daily. I believe
So
that's
25.
25.
It comes also in 10, in 5,
Sorry,
and
guys.
100. You should check out your blood SDHEA levels, the sulfate and the active form, and then supplement accordingly. If it's below mid-range, you can do it double a day, AM and PM, let's say 25 twice. If it's over the mid-range, just do one use of 25. They say that if you use it at PM before sleep, it can enhance the GH release. But it's definitely a must supplementation over 40. I'm taking straight 6 years now. I was giving this to my mother, grandmother, ex-girlfriends, you know.
Yeah.
It's really beneficial. And it supports very much the adrenal glands and the stress control.
You take just 25 milligrams or you take more?
I take 50 since 2016, every day.
So 50 is probably better than 25. All right. Here's a good one. Hey guys, question please. What is your favorite ester and why? So he's talking about testosterone ester. Is it true that Sustanon is better than the rest? Is it because it contains 4 esters and it's better for the brain? And why does everyone hate libido so much? Is it because of the horrible estrogenic side effects that I'm getting when I take it? Because of the undecanate, very long ester? I prefer Sustanon or enanthate over libido anytime, even if I can get pharma grade libido and the other esters I'm getting from UGL Labs. I feel like a god on Sustanon. Would really want to know your opinion, guys. Do you have a favorite ester?
Yeah, so the UGL labs is unacceptable. You know, you have to get pharma grade to be sure you're injecting official stuff to the body. The only disadvantage about libido is that it kicks super slowly. So you don't realize the benefits. And it has the advantage, of course, besides there's a very good quality of buyer, that you avoid the pinning for 90 days and you rest. But this obviously has fluctuations because you inject the whole gram that will spike, make you feel great to the roof. But afterwards, towards the last week, you're going to suffer from trough levels. That's why we try to shorten the duration coming from 90 days to 60 days. All right. Now,
why doesn't anybody microdose libido, like take it
I've microdosed libido, you know, and I have to tell you that it took me a whole bottle in order to start kicking. So after using a whole bottle, yeah, I realized I reached, I'm sorry, the supposed levels I was reaching with enanthate.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very expensive. It's about $120 in Greece, and you have to get it prescribed to get it at 25, 30.
Mhm.
Now, the enanthate, of course, is the old-fashioned stuff here. That is, it kicks. Sure, it's good for bodybuilding, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
The Sustanon has this particular thing, the blend, that Sustanon kicks in your body faster because of the propionate, but also clears the system later than the enanthate because it has a little bit of androcanate.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. It's also pharma grade, of course, the Sustanon. And then in the States, you have also the spionate.
Yeah.
Now, the propionate, we have to realize, is more anabolic than enanthate because it releases 80% of the compound. Unlike the cypionate and the enanthate that releases 70% and the androcanate 60%. So from the whole gram of libido, you assimilate 600 milligrams.
Wow.
The other 400 are wasted with the ester. And the most anabolic compound type of testosterone is the suspension because you absorb everything, but it hurts terribly.
Yeah.
It gets in the system within hours, and it can give you gyno also if you overdo it.
Yeah. Have you ever used suspension?
Yeah, 400 milligrams before my show.
Oh, God.
And I had a little bit of nipple, even though I was taking anastrozole every day,
Didn't you tell me that happened like one day after shooting it, pinning it?
Excuse me?
How long did it take to develop the gyno? Wasn't it
24
like,
hours. The gyno.
what did you say, like one day, 2 days it started?
Gyno.
After you checked the suspension, didn't it come right really fast after that? The gyno?
Yeah. I mean, within hours, man.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, I've never used it, but I heard it's like injecting battery acid. It's so painful. So
It's more painful than windshield because it has larger particles.
yeah. So
And you cannot inject it with an insulin needle because it's very tiny and will explode. Unlike the windshield, like milk.
Yeah. That actually
And if you
happened.
inject it really fast, the windshield, you can make it, look like a milk, but the suspension, no.
I remember like 10 years ago, I think it was. There was a pro asked me to help him at a hotel because he didn't have his girlfriend with him at the time. He said, Can you come to my room and give me a shot in my rear delt? And it was suspension. And I was pushing and it wasn't going in. I was like, dude, it's not moving. It's not moving. And I kept pushing and it exploded. It went all over the place. I'm like, I'm sorry. We just wasted a whole shot.
What about the show? Was this evident, visible?
No, nothing went in because it wouldn't go through the syringe, through the needle. It was too many particles or too thick.
Down the chain said, "Why don't you swallow it?"
Well, you could use those huge needles, like an 18 gauge with the really wide, plenty of room. You can put anything through that, but that's going to leave a big hole in you. But most TRT prescriptions in the U.S., if not all of them that I've heard, are cypionate. That they always just give you cypionate for whatever reason. So it's very standard. I mean, once the test is in your system, doctor, it doesn't matter what the ester is once you have the levels stable, right? Yeah. I think I always like Sustanon, because of the propionate in it. You immediately feel something quickly within hours. Whereas, enanthate or libido, enanthate, cypionate, it's going to take at least a few days.
You start a cycle though, because in TRT, you have this in your system for years,
Right. True. All right. Good ester discussion. Let's talk about hair. Can I get a hair implant? I'm on HRT for life. Or will the implanted hair fall out eventually? This is important as a hair implant is very expensive. I know that hormones and constant hormonal changes in the body affects hair growth. I also have bad genes. All the men in my family from both my parents were bald. Is there even a point to consider implanting hair? What else can I do for my hair to grow back? I'm using minoxidil for 2 years now, and my hair is still leaving me.
So you have to add dutasteride along with minoxidil in a foam and use the ketoconazole shampoo that they kill the DHT in the scalp. And with dutasteride, you grow hair. And when we use it locally, you avoid the systemic side effects in the erectile dysfunction. As long as you're using low testosterone, because if you don't use testosterone, the dutasteride may lead you to depression and erectile dysfunction. And now the other thing about when you do hair transplant, those are permanent hair follicles that will never leave no matter what. So don't worry about this. Okay.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
Try a little bit of finasteride also orally. Yeah.
Well, I have I just got a spray from a company called Hims that gives all Viagra, Cialis, all kinds of crap for men. It's a spray that you use daily. It's finasteride and minoxidil, topical spray that you rub in. So they say it takes about 5 to 6 months to see any regrowth starting. So it's going to take a while.
I would say try to use dutasteride locally and take the finasteride orally.
I don't want to take it orally, no. So
well, you're taking testosterone. Don't worry about anything. I mean,
oh, okay, all right. I always thought dutasteride and finasteride were like the same thing. They're not, right?
No. Dutasteride cuts off both receptors and is very more potent, but it grows hair.
Oh,
I think finasteride just stops the hair thinning.
Yeah. Or start growing hair on like weird places. I don't know. All right, here we go. Last question, doctor. Is it better to split 250 milligrams of Sustanon? He says underground labs, but that's not really an issue here. Is it better to split 250 mgs of Sustanon a week into 3 shots, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, rather than 2 shots that I'm currently doing Monday and Thursday because of the propionate's short half-life? Or should I have one big shot of 250 a week to crash SHBG? What's the best for high libido, better energy, and the least side effects?
Yeah, for better sex drive, do the whole shot, but mind that you will spike on estrogen, so take care of the aromatization. On the other hand, if you do microdosing, you will avoid the aromatization because of the less spikes on estradiol. So there is not a single answer, it's the flip side. And I think now, speaking about intake, it's overkill to do it very frequent. Well, if you're in a cycle, I think twice a week is the most, even once or twice. If you're on replacement therapy, then you have to break down and microdose. It's more reasonable, of course, the propionate to come sooner and more often into the system. But as we said, after a while, no matter what, the substance is in your system. So it's no substantial difference.
Because it's only it's evenly divided. I think it's 250 milligrams, 4 esters. So it's about
125 twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's all the questions we have for this week, doctor. Appreciate you taking the time. And this is going to be on Tuesday. So I want to let you guys know, if you didn't watch it already, I'm recording right after this with Giles Thomas, our Power Hour wrap up of the Arnold Classic. If you haven't watched that, please go back and watch it. We're going to be all fired up talking about that. And that's it. Thank you, doctor, providing this service to the people. A lot of people came up to me over the weekend and said, I love the show you do with Dr. T. They're asking if you were
there to take the benefit from the editorial muscular development also in the cover.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Arnold indication is over. We're going to have the Olympia University in Orlando. And I hope that Arnold will bring it back,
Yeah, possibly. We'll see. So anyway, guys, if you have questions for next week's episode, please leave them in the comments here below. Or if you just have general comments about the show, good or bad, we like all the feedback. Drop us a comment here. We appreciate that. Share these videos, like them. If you're not subscribed to the channel, like them. And of course, turn on your notifications, that bell thing, so you know when we come out with all kinds of content on this channel. And that's it. Thank you, doctor. Appreciate what you do for MD and for the people around the world who need this advice and can't get it from their regular doctor, because those doctors just don't know much about these topics. So guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Ask Dr. Testosterone. We'll see you right here next time. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.